is only a transition to a different sphere of consciousness. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. She is a living presence in their spiritual earthbound plane.
Hello and welcome to episode 58 of the Talking to the Dead podcast. This is the third part of what was supposed to be a two-part episode, although perhaps the first part just being the reading of the end of Revelations 13, doesn't really count as an episode. I promised yesterday that I would try to make contact with the entity that's been wanting to speak to me. And I will try that today. And then that will be, if you like, the episodes for this week. I know normally I do an episode a week, apart from obviously having a little break before. But now suddenly it's feast. You're getting 3 episodes in 1 week. But I can't promise that all the time. We'll see how things go. So a little preamble to before we talk now. Yes, most definitely I felt that the thought form entity, or however it chooses to define itself, of Satan is coming through today to talk to me. He's been talking to me already, so I don't think it's going to be very hard. I've obviously done my protection rituals because I'm probably more scared about talking to him than he is to talking to me. After all the things that you read about Satan and all the movies and all the, all the stuff in popular fiction and culture, it's on the face of it quite a formidable thought that Satan might actually come through and talk. As much as if I was sitting here doing a podcast and the thought representation of Jesus Christ came through. But equally, what was being shown me last night is that I shouldn't be worrying so much because there's been a crazy amount of people who have come through. I mean, I've had devils already come through, a lot of obviously dead people. I've had the Archangel Gabriel come through. I've had the composer Johann Sebastian Bach. I've had Princess Diana. I've had the Queen. I mean, I've had a lot. So why am I so nervous about introducing Satan? I don't know, because I suppose in a way it's quite a big deal. That's the first thing. But be that as it may, I'm going to do my best. And the other thought that came to my mind, and my mind was somewhat put to rest by my friend Linda in Germany, who said that she often speaks to Lucifer. And I've, of course, in my mind, always thought that Lucifer and Satan were one and the same thing. So I'll enjoy asking that question. And anyway, Linda doesn't seem to mind talking to Lucifer, so and finds him apparently very nice, I think she wrote, and very loving. And she always has a great sense of love around the whole thing. So it sounds to me like I'm not going to be at all surprised to hear what Satan has to say to me about who he is and what he does. And I suppose I've got to just undo some of my preconceptions and mankind's preconceptions of who the saints are and who the angels are. And indeed, who the devil is and who the demons are. So really, there's nothing else to say. I will see if Satan wishes to come through. And I'm not sure how this format will be because, as I said, I haven't got Titan here to help me or sort of adjudicate for me or to gatekeep for me or anything. It is what it is. So, hello, Satan. You're there. And he is. All right, well, he's going to speak through, he's saying he's going to speak through to me. He says that he doesn't really want to be interrupted that much. He will talk a bit, and he'll try to talk slowly so I can get the information out. And he says, so here we go. So I've been saying to you for a few days now, and you've been picking this up, that it's amateur hour. And I have to explain why I said that. I've had so many people contacting me over the years, and I have absolutely no problem that they do it. And there has always been, particularly in your occult world, particular ways that you should be contacting spirits, you should be contacting devils, but he says also how you would contact your gods, your angels. And this has become a very established thing and is almost a prerequisite for making contact. And you were about to speak to me having done no preparation whatsoever, which on one side I could take as an complete insult. On the other hand, I'm here to also tell you that it's totally unnecessary. It's all about your relationship with me and talking to me as you have with all the other people you've just mentioned in your podcast. So he's saying, thank you. He's saying, he says, don't worry about me. Don't be in awe. Don't be frightened. Don't believe everything that you've been told. As a person called Satan, I am no different from all the other thought form conglomerates that you've had the pleasure of interviewing during your time on the podcast. I just represent the combined thoughts and the power that those thoughts have given over thousands of years. But I am what I am. And first of all, I should try to explain who I am and what I am, and why does that give me the right to represent myself as what you call Satan. First of all, I am not exclusive to you and to your planet. I exist and I have many links and communications in many realities. Realities way beyond your comprehension, and realities that involve all sorts of beings and entities. I have a lot of friends in these different realities, and it's something that I really enjoy doing, and that is the representation of people's thoughts. My thought form originated way, way, way longer than the human race has been in existence. I found long ago that one of the great things for me was to be involved, say, with human beings and to listen to their needs and help them acclimatize to the world around them, to enable the spirits that were once not inside their bodies, their souls, I think they're called, to acclimatize better with the body that they are moving into, and to learn and understand the frailties, the emotions, the feelings. And he said, I would love to actually spend the next hour of this podcast saying hundreds of words. Now, that's interesting that you say that, Satan, because if you don't mind me interrupting, I've had you doing that to me in the last 2 days. In my sleep, I've just had hundreds and hundreds of words being blasted at me, and I was wondering why that was the case. They didn't seem to make any sense. He said, yes, because words are principally a human thing. In fact, you could say they're almost entirely a human thing, although language is not. And words have such power. And obviously he realized that eons ago, that the use of words could be very, very powerful and be one of the ways the humans could get in touch with their spirit, with their soul, with their higher self. And his main function is to try to facilitate that communication between your higher self and your current earth being, to also help people awaken that ability, as well as to enjoy the knowledge coming one way and the feeding of information back the other way. And I have been able to do that quite successfully in different modes according to the development of the species that I'm dealing with. And with humanity, he said he finds it very easy to deal with it in terms of words, but also in terms of music. It can also be done in terms of art. It's quite common, he says, that it can also be done just directly into the mind, which you could call prayer. But this idea that he will just communicate in one way, that I will just communicate in one way, is not correct. I will communicate in many, many different ways, and I will choose the way that I feel is the best way to get my message across. He's saying, I want to break some news to you, but please don't feel bad about it. Your guardian angel Titan is very much a part of who I am. And that is not surprising because most guardian angels are affiliated to me. He said that may sound strange to you because you think of the way that I've been described, that I must be evil and I live in hell. Why would I be mucking around with angels? Well, again, I think you've heard that before from Gabriel. There are no such things as angels, or any more than there are any such things as demons. We are purely entities that have gained a huge amount of power over endless amounts of time through people's thoughts. And those thoughts have manifested in us and given us the ability to become more widely known and more involved with more people. So your guardian angel Titan and everyone's guardian angel is part of who I am, because it's all part of that communication between the human-based or the animal-based person and the spiritual self. So I love to communicate through words. I love using words. I like the sound of words. The sound of words can be musical. It can be poetic. And some of the most wonderful poetry, he says, has been written with me in mind. And some of the nicest feelings of love and connectedness that he has ever witnessed in a species has come through the written word. But if you can combine the written word with music, you have a truly, truly powerful form of communication. And he says he reminds me of my podcast episode where I talked about musicians and how musicians seem to be channeling information from a higher realm. And he's saying, yes, it's not only that they're channeling information of music, but there is channeling of information, obviously, of poetry, of literature, and everything else. And what his main focus is to enable humans to reach a stage where they can open up that communication and benefit in a living way from all the things that they do know already but have forgotten, the things that exist in other realms, the things that exist in their soul, that at a particular point in their life is generally thought to be useful. Let me talk about Jimmy Page. I'd like you to. Now, Jimmy Page, as you said, is alive. And one thing that is so important when you're talking about the communication between a spirit and a human is that is confidential information. That information can only be divulged if that person wills it or wants to share it, but with both people's consent. As an example, you will perhaps as a Christian pray to someone or to a god, and that information that you share is private, And the reply that you get is private. It's your business. Now, if you wish to share that, then that has to have had the approval of both people. And that is, of course, what happened in some of the religious scriptures that have been shared through a channeling process, whether it would be through, he's saying, any form of world religion or any form of alternative occult practice. That is a very personal thing between the person and the sender. Can only be shared if they both wish it to happen. I can tell you now that communications that I have had to Jimmy Page are my private conversations through his mind, but also through his music and through his thoughts. And I would never divulge those thoughts and those communications unless he wished me to. Now, he obviously did wish me to get involved in his musical career as a young man, but he was interested in all sorts of stuff, way beyond just the normal living of life, and that was his choice. He decided before he came to Earth, as everyone who becomes creatively famous in your world, he had made that choice, and he was fulfilling his destiny. It is no accident that people who have particular gifts in what you consider to be important, whether it would be in the entertainment arts or in the oratory arts, in business, or whatever else it might be, if you consider someone to have been highly successful, it's because they are incredibly good at what they do, and they have been able to do it in such a way that they have got the attention of people. And I can come along at some point in that process and enable it to happen more. But it was always going to happen. This was always their desire. This was why they chose the things to happen in the life the way they did. So that means that generally some souls are capable of doing certain things. They cannot all do the same things, because not everyone can become famous in your world. Not everyone can become the same. Everyone is different, but everyone is a star. Everyone is capable of something wonderful, but it may not necessarily be the thing that everyone recognizes as being exceptional. In the case of Jimmy, and in the case of other musicians and artists, he recognized that there was the possibility that he could open up his mind to the receiving guidance and music and influence from a higher power. And he chose to use the ideas of Thelema and Aleister Crowley, and he's a funny one, he's saying he's a funny one, as a springboard for him getting ideas. But it was just a way for him to get creative ideas. It was a creative springboard, and it's something that he still uses. But the details of all of that and what we've done together and how we've done is his business, and he hasn't decided to share that with anyone. So I'm not going to share it either. But I will certainly say, and I'm sure he's probably said this himself, there is nothing evil, there is nothing dangerous, there's nothing wrong in what he's done. He purely and simply has managed in a most wonderful way to finally make contact with what he is, and make that a comfortable position for him, where he feels able to live the person that he is. He had issues before where he wasn't so comfortable with that, but he became extremely comfortable and began to understand what he needed to do in his life in order to fulfill his destiny. And you could say he's done that pretty well. Okay, so tell me a little bit about Aleister Crowley then. Mr. Crowley, an interesting chap. I remember it very, very well. Again, this is a slightly different situation because he chose to take our conversations and the various things that were being given to him as information and interpret them in a rather restricted way. I must say I was rather disappointed that, yes, he did choose the life that he would lead and the impact that he would have on people. But I feel in a way he somehow went a little bit, he's saying, off the script. And he got involved in things because he just wouldn't stop experimenting and pushing things, even though a number of times I was trying to encourage him to hold back. I'm sure all of this can be read about. I know for sure that he wouldn't deny it. But the ultimate aim of what Aleister Crowley was, and why he chose that particular life and those particular adventures, is not diminished by this. In fact, it's enhanced. But he did things that I would probably not recommend people get involved in. Okay, so how does that relate then to Scientology and Freemasonry and all of these things that I was talking about yesterday? All these different, as you may call them, esoteric arts or movements are all my doing. I'm really sorry about that, but I'm not sorry about that. This is my way of trying to get information through. I can only say that you were quite right yesterday in your observations, that all I am trying to do is to be a conduit between the person and their higher self. I'm trying to help them because they had decided that they would need that at one point in their life. They had set up a signpost in their timeline that this would be part of their instructional knowledge. The creation of Scientology, for instance, is again partly fiction and partly truth. It was an allegory, and I'm sure that Mr. Ron Hubbard would be the first person to be able to agree with you on that not everything that he wrote should be taken literally as being what is the truth. He was very keen, as much as the Bible story writers were, to make the quite difficult concepts of communication and understanding yourself and being able to see how you could bring things from your higher self to your physical self in order to create this oneness. He would have to say it in a way that people could follow him and understand him. And in the process, he did actually turn the original idea of a story into a world religion. Again, there is nothing wrong with that, and maybe he might have gone further than I would have recommended. And in the process, things may have got slightly distorted and maybe misinterpreted, but I'm not going to judge that. The principal importance of what he was trying to do and what Scientologists do is perfectly fine by me, as long as it helps them get in touch with their higher self. In the terms of Scientology, they believe that they have to be spiritually and mentally clean in order to be able to do that. But that's what they say. It's not necessarily, if you're a Freemason, to a certain extent, you want to be clean, you want to be trusting, you want to make sure that you're generous. All those things are all great. They're just human traits that people felt would make them a good candidate for being able to be in touch with their higher self. I would say that if you look at the Christian religion and you look at what has come about as a result of the life of a man, it's an incredible thought that people can use that in order to attune themselves to their spiritual self. But there is nothing that I would say is right or wrong about it, as long as the practice of that religion does not cause harm to people, but enables people to communicate through to their higher self and to bring information that is useful. The same would be for every religion, whatever it would be. They are always my attempt to try to help humans reach a level that they can tune themselves in to their higher self and bring information from that higher self to enable their help in their human life. And usually that is something that is happening quite often without you being aware of it. But on other times, people want to use it deliberately. If that happens, then I help people with that as well. But I have to stress, and this is very important, and this is perhaps where people have got me wrong and have then decided to make out that the idea of Satan is something evil, that something I was somehow cast out of heaven, and all of this stuff, that I am some sort of renegade and I really mean harm and I'm trying to deceive and I really don't care about you. This, if you hear what I'm saying, is not right, because I am you. You are me. You are part of me because you are in touch with me and your higher self. I am not some outside entity that's trying to invade you and take you over. This is where it's all gone wrong in your fiction. I enjoy that process, and I have limitless things going on in your terms simultaneously. While I'm speaking to you, I am simultaneously talking to countless other people. You can't understand that, but that is the case. That is what I can do. That is the ability that I have. But I am not human. I am not even a spirit form that you would recognize if you saw me. I am purely and simply a consciousness creation by millions and millions of beings and entities that have given me this ability to become real to you because you choose to speak to me. I don't just make myself known to people without permission. I'm usually planned up front, or I'm planned in a life, or people say things in order to bring me in, which is why I said to you before, I like words, but I also like music, and many spirit creations are the same. They feel very drawn to music. They feel very drawn to words. And that is historically why people felt you should say prayers or rituals or spells, because that was interpreted as being the way to get in touch with me and to get in touch with other spirit forms. But as I've shown with you, it's totally unnecessary. You don't need to do that. You can just contact me if you want to contact me. And I think Titan has been trying to show you that. You don't need to go through a middleman to be in touch with your higher entity, your higher self. You can do it yourself. That's the way it's always been and the way it always should be. Okay, can you perhaps tell me then a bit about what I was speaking about yesterday, which was, the P. Diddy's and the Epsteins and maybe the Donald Trumps, and people are saying that they are somehow using Satan. Oh, this is so silly. I have tried to explain, and people have to accept, that I am just another thought form entity. My job is to communicate. My job is to allow communications, to be a conduit of information between yourself and yourself, but yourself human with yourself that is not here now, which you will see again soon. Your life is not going to be forever. Now, all that is happening is that, unfortunately, and I did mention this earlier, there are things that are just a bit out of control. Because you're human, you can actually go a little bit too far, and I don't recommend it. And, I'm not going to get into the specifics of those three people because I haven't had permission from them to be able to talk directly to you about it. That is not right. The relationship that these two people who are alive, one who is dead, had with me was private and confidential unless they choose to share it. And that is how it should be. But that should not be mistaken as being some secret agreement, some pact with the devil that has been written about in literature for hundreds of years. or the suspicion of organizations who are involved in that, as if they are secret evil organizations in touch with the devil as being a bad influence. Everyone can be in touch with me. Everyone. And animals are in touch with me. It is completely absurd for people to give the impression that it's some particular divine right of a person or some particular gift that somebody has. It is completely absurd. Everybody can be in touch with me, and I will help anybody who asks, anybody who thinks that they need the help, anybody who wants inspiration and wants to be able to contact all of the wonderful creativity that exists and has ever existed. Anybody who wants any form of help in creating ideas or inventions or finding out science, I can help them do it. And I am part of that consciousness that helps that information flow. And that's all that I am. I think maybe people such as you've mentioned and others before them may have taken this information and maybe they got carried away in the way that they used the information or the way they tried to get the information. And maybe they listened too much to the wrong sort of information. Okay, so you're talking about people like LaVey, who created the Church of Satan and tried to sort of codify it. No, I have no problem. I had no problem that a man like Anton LaVey would try to codify things. But that is absolutely no different from a man who would write a novel, or from a person who would write a song, or a woman who would write poetry. Or somebody who would just design the most beautiful dress. Somebody who would paint the most gorgeous of pictures. Somebody who would make a film telling a story. It's exactly the same. The Church of Satan, as it's called, claims to represent me almost as some sort of exclusive part of their thoughts. No, it's no more exclusive as it is part of your thoughts. But that is their choice. That is how they've decided to be in touch with me. And can I say I would let it roll? I have no problem with it. I would only have a problem with it if people started using it in a way that was not correct. Well, what would not be correct? This will be slightly hard for you to perhaps understand. If you could think of the things that I have been held to be responsible for, very much in your culture, it's always been horrible things. It's been killings. It's been mass murder. It's been possession. It's been then fed by the churches as being almost they need the opposition, because in your world there's always got to be the opposition. There's always got to be in the divine world the plus and the minus. There's always got to be the good and the bad. There always has to be the yin and the yang. It's the opposites. And the opposites then appear to be good or bad, but that isn't necessarily the truth. Opposites can be the same. Opposites can be good and good, or bad and bad. And my job is not about producing things that are bad. My thing is to try to get people in touch with their soul and to communicate the things that are required to enable them to be in touch with their higher self and to be the very best person that they can be in that life, and to help them navigate the very difficult process of being in a physical body. I'll tell you a secret. I don't want to be physical. I never wanted to be physical. I think I've thought about it once or twice. I don't want to be a human. I wouldn't enjoy it. It would be too restricting for me. And I'm not alone. But I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing to be human. It's a great experience, and lots of things can happen. And I recognize that. And I'm there to help that communication. And you know what? Nearly every single person who's come through on your podcast in the last year is the same. They have come through because they are all part of this communication process. They have wanted to come through and talk. They understand the importance of passing information from where they are to people who are living now. That can be for making people who are living feel better, or it could be making us feel that this is going to enable people to move on with their lives or to move to the next landmark in their destiny. And for that, I enjoy what I do, and I feel that it's a wonderfully rewarding thing. I can't hurt you. I can't hurt anyone. You hurt you. You hurt people through the power of your thoughts. You have that ability. You have the ability to do wonderful things with your thoughts, but you have the ability to do, in your terms, bad things with your thoughts. But it's got nothing to do with me. I just represent the ability for everyone who is human and everyone who is in any form of reality to be able to communicate with their higher self and to be able to bring information that is not currently here to help them to improve their life and to improve other people's lives. And it would be a sad thing, unfortunately, that some people will then blame bad things that people have done on me, because it's very convenient to say this person, Satan, who historically is a bad person, is responsible for making me do bad things. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not true. I haven't made anyone do anything bad, and I never would want to make people do anything bad. I want to help people. I want love. I feel love. I have no desire to seed hate, revenge, anger, disillusionment, disappointment. I would love to throw thousands of words at you now. These words are important, but many of them do not apply to me. They have been ascribed to me, but they don't belong to me. They may belong to you. They may belong to your soul or the person who is communicating. There may be part of the process of them being a better soul by having to live a life and learn a lesson and maybe doing things that you may consider to be wrong in order to learn that that was not the way to be. If you want to say the things that are wrong, that are not considered to be the positive things that will enlighten your soul, then call that evil, if you will. And conversely, the things that are considered to be right, you can call that goodness. But that is far too simplistic, because there is no good and there is no evil. There are just things that are done and perceptions of what they mean. All I am here to do is to help you and to help give you the information that you need. I'm, if you like, a mentor that enables you to do things that you wish to do and help you on that way. That's all I've ever done, and that's all I'll ever do. Okay, I think that's the end. That's probably all of it. I think, yep, thank you. I think he's gone. Well, there we are. Thank you. I told you I'd pass through Satan. There he was. Wow. It certainly wasn't quite what I thought. I can certainly describe my feeling. I have an intense ringing in my ears at the moment, almost like music. I feel that love. I feel warmth. I feel positivity. I don't feel any negativity. I don't feel any fear. I certainly feel that I've been in touch with and tried to use his words that were coming through to me. And definitely, I must say, I think some of the words that I use are my words, but that's unfortunately what's going to happen because I'm trying to interpret things that come through. But the general feeling the general feeling I definitely feel is I'm being used as a conduit by him in the same way that he wants to enable all of us to have that ability to reach that information. And I think I'm getting that really strong impression that, we need nobody else there in between. We don't need religions. We don't need mediums. We don't need spirits. We don't need any of this, because we can all do it. And in a way, a thought just came through to my mind. And I must tell you this happened to me this morning. I was coming to work, and then I think Satan said this to me. I'm not sure, I should have asked, but it's too late now. And he was saying, he was saying that you don't need me really to help you beyond what you know already. What you need me for is to remind you of what you know already. And I thought, yeah, that's very important. We all know already everything. It's all there in us. We're just not in touch with it. And we need to learn how to do that. And obviously Satan is one of these entities who helps us communicate and get that information. And another thought that came through to me, he said that obviously people can use the information that they get in order to create huge riches for themselves and success. But that's not a problem. I had this sense that it wasn't really a problem. If you wish to have huge success and if you wish to have huge riches, you can have it. It's something that you may have planned before in your life, and in your planning of this life. But if you just wake up this morning and you decided, I want to be wealthy, I want to become a great songwriter, you can. All you need to do is get in touch with your higher self, or if you want to, Satan. But don't say I said so. Thank you.